And this is what happens when you get 40 years for clout chasing.
Lock his ass up. Lock his ass up. You're going to jail. You're going to jail.
Alright, look, I'm MasoMoney. Make sure y'all like and subscribe and watch this video to the end, alright? We're gonna get straight into it.
Making it out of the hood is no easy feat, and usually goes wrong for those who try to take the easiest path possible. Gang involvement, banging on blocks, and flashing down rivals with guns seems to many like an easy way to get respect and make money, but often recycles the gangsters through the toxic cycle that had kept them in the hood
RondoNumba9 gonna be home by Christmas, y'all.
Which is why, if someone can make it out of the hood with legitimate success, they should not go back or risk becoming a victim of their past. But some people do not value the gifts they are given. A rapper from Chicago named RondoNumba9 was on the come-up in the 2010s, rapping alongside Lupe Fiasco and Lil Durk at just 17. He had a video with 12 million hits. The lane was wide open for him to build a real, lasting career like Chief Keef. And then at 4 in the morning on February 22nd, 2014, he got out of a car on the south side and shot an innocent man 7 times. Rondo has been living within the prison system for over a decade, and the entire thing was not just avoidable, but completely unnecessary.
Rondo and Cdai.
Clint Massey was born on February 18, 1997, on Chicago's South Side. His parents split when he was 2 years old, and he was raised by his mother until he was expelled from school as a teenager, at which point he moved in with his father. He started recording music in 2011 under the name RondoNumba9, and within a couple of years, he had a legitimate presence within the Chicago drill scene, the same wave that was producing Chief Keef, Lil Durk, Fredo Santana, and G Herbo. Rondo was affiliated with Lil Durk's Only the Family label and was close with a rapper named L.A. Capone, one of the most promising young voices coming out of that whole era. Their song Play for Keeps was racking up millions of streams. Then in 2013, Rondo linked up with Lupe Fiasco for a remix called Life of a Savage that got him an official music video and real mainstream attention. His song Taliban hit 12 million views on YouTube. Despite his upbringing, by all accounts, Rondo was doing quite well for himself. But Rondo was still deep in the streets, and like most of the young drill artists coming out of Chicago at that time, his music and his actual life were not two separate things.
I'm just telling you how I'm living for real.
Was affiliated with the Black Disciples, and L.A. Capone, his closest collaborator, was shot and killed leaving a recording studio on September 26, 2013. Capone was just 18 at the time. The block...
Bro, and that's messed up because L.A. Capone was really the one who was supposed to help them get kind of out of the trenches, right? Chief Keef did that for his area. Durk did that for his folks. That's what L.A. Capone was supposed to be for them. And basically, I think even Rondo Rondo went to jail for trying to get back for him. I think they ended up shooting some innocent person, but it was because he died. You know what I mean? Like, that's a tough loss for you. But, man, these folks, I think they both got, well, they hung them like football numbers, 50, 40, 30, 60 years, something like that, you know?
Already wild going into 2014. On the night of February 21st, Rondo and a man named Courtney Ely, who went by the rap name Cdai.
Bro, there's tweets of Cdai ass on Twitter. You know, niggas used to have Twitter fingers back then. I remember seeing a tweet where this nigga said, killing people felt like sex. Nigga, I got so nervous. I said, maybe they need to lock his ass up. Killing people feel like what? Hell no.
Was affiliated with the O Block 600 Black Disciples, went to a party at 39th Street and Wentworth Avenue in the Wentworth Gardens housing project. At some point during the night, a woman in their entourage named Caprice Johns got into an argument with another group of women. While that argument was happening, someone fired a gun into the air multiple times. Not at anyone specifically, just into the air, apparently to break up the noise. Nobody got hit, but Rondo and Cdai had already left the party with another woman named Takia Herbert before this happened. A man in the remaining group named Jermonte Carpenter, a rapper who went by the title Tay Capone or Tay 600, called Rondo and Cdai on speakerphone to tell them about the shots. Johns and the others left the party, drove to a nearby Wendy's, and linked up with Rondo, Cdai, and a third man known as D-Rose. They loaded into 3 cars and drove back toward Wentworth Gardens. According to Johns at trial, the plan was to find whoever had fired the shots and deal with it. So, in the early hours of February 22nd, 2014, they were 3 cars deep, rolling back through Wentworth Gardens, looking for the person who had fired those shots at the party. They had no confirmed target. They didn't know who the shooter was, what they looked like, or where exactly to find them. Ely was 19 at the time and had been released from jail just 2 weeks earlier on a probation violation from a prior robbery case, meaning he shouldn't have even been hanging with these people. They were out there anyway, hunting for someone they couldn't identify, in the dark, at 4 in the morning, over something that really didn't concern them. At around 3:55 in the morning, the convoy reached the 3700 block of South Princeton Avenue, just a few blocks from what was then the U.S. Cellular Field. There was a car parked on the block with a man sitting inside. That man was Javan Boyd, a 28-year-old Southside native who was out in the middle of the night because he was working. Boyd was a friend of Murdertown 39, a rival set to Rondo's, and was a cousin of L.A. Capone's killer, but he himself was not involved in crime and had gone straight after being released from prison years earlier. Boyd had a day job as a food packer in Woodridge, and about a month earlier he had picked up a second gig driving for a service called Pershing Dispatch. He was parked on that block waiting to pick up a woman named LaToya Adams, who had called for a cab from her mother's place in Wentworth Gardens. D. Rose started walking toward...
Oh, so the dude that they killed was a cab driver, like he was doing that as a second job, but he was gangbanging cab driver? So when they caught him like he was involved, but he ain't had no involvement. Let's see.
Car, but then turned and ran back to one of the other vehicles as the situation unfolded. Rondo and Ely went to the passenger side of Boyd's car. According to eyewitness testimony, Boyd's car actually started to back up at that point, like he sensed what was coming, but he hit a parked car behind him. Rondo and Ely then opened the passenger door and opened fire. Boyd was shot 7 times and slumped over in his seat. He had never seen either of them before in his life. He had no involvement in whatever happened at that party. He was a taxi driver waiting in a parked car to drive a woman home, but he was on the wrong block at the wrong time. After the shooting, Rondo and Ely ran back to the red car and the convoy drove away. Ely was heard telling people afterward that he had asked the victim if he was from over here, meaning that specific part of Wentworth Gardens where the party had been. And when the man said yes, Ely said it was man down. Boyd was rushed to Stroger Hospital and died from his wounds.
These niggas be crazy, bro. You can't even live on a damn block. Just because I live here and look like you, I gotta die for? So then I'm wrong if I get on here and say, that nigga is supposed to be locked up. Call the police on this nigga. Bro, you walk up to my car, ask me if I live around here. Yeah, bro, I'm from here. Take the nigga head off his body? It's not very good conflict resolution skills. You're about to do 50 years in prison. Do your research.
Neither of these guys were strangers to the criminal justice system before any of this
Cdai,
happened.
LA,
Courtney
D-Rose,
Ely had been convicted of felony robbery in 2012 at just 17 years old and was sentenced to 2 years of probation. He violated that probation not once but twice, and it was the second violation that had him sitting in jail in early 2014. He got out just 2 weeks before the night he and Rondo went back to Wentworth Gardens. As for Rondo, by the time he was arrested for Boyd's murder at 17 years old, sources close to the case alleged he had already been involved in multiple shootings and at least 2 other murders before he ever turned 19. Just a few weeks before the night Javan Boyd was killed, Rondo had already been flagged by Chicago police. In January 2014,
he got flagged by the police. I remember this. Rondo was one of the first people to go viral in drill. Cause I was young as hell, fool. But bro, he was one of the first people to go viral. I remember going on. Oh, I'm looking at the older people. I'm looking online. This before Instagram was even popping and shit like that. Bro, this nigga dead ass was holding a rocket launcher. I say, when the fuck they get those on the block? Hell nah, fool. You know, they put Crime Stoppers on this nigga. Look at this shit. Open sources indicate Brick City, Wick City. That's O Block may be in possession of a rocket launcher. This nigga's crazy, fool.
Multiple shootings and at least 2 other murders before he ever turned 19. Just a few weeks before the night multiple shootings murder at night he and Rondo went back to Wentworth Gardens. As for Rondo, by the time he was arrested for Boyd's murder at 17 years old, sources close to the case alleged he had already been involved in multiple shootings and at least 2 other murders before he ever turned 19. Just a few weeks before the night Javon Boyd was killed, Rondo had already been flagged by Chicago police. In January 2014, the Crime Control Strategies Deployment Operations Center, a Chicago PD gang intelligence unit, published an official safety bulletin warning that 2 rival gang factions on the south side were believed to be in possession of a rocket launcher. Rondo's mugshot was included in that bulletin alongside
niggas got rocket launchers in the trenches,
y'all. Photos
y'all.
had surfaced on his social media showing him straight up flexing with the launcher. The evidence was overwhelming from the jump. The Chicago Housing Authority had surveillance cameras in the area, and the whole thing was caught on video. From start to finish,
video.
Ely's fingerprint was recovered from the passenger side window of Boyd's car. If it couldn't get any worse, Ely had also dropped his iPhone at the scene when he fled and was actually driven back to the area afterward to try to retrieve it, but police had already cordoned it off. He went out on a hit and took his iPhone with him, but dropped it at the scene.
Crazy.
Legit, the only thing left for him would be to just say, I did it. The worst part was that this wasn't his first time dropping his phone at a scene. The same phone he used to tweet at his ops and admit to crimes on Twitter. Both
Bro, this was the tweet I'm talking about. What nigga? What the This nigga go on Twitter say when you kill somebody, that should feel like sex. Alright, bro. Niggas be tripping, bro. Like, come on, fool.
And Ely were identified by eyewitnesses, including Johns and Herbert, who were both in the convoy and watched the shooting happen. Rondo was arrested in early March 2014 and charged with first-degree murder.
Hit me home by Christmas.
He was just 17 years old. His bail was set at $2 million. Ely was arrested shortly after and held without bail. The trial took more than 2 years to get going because prosecutors kept having trouble getting their witnesses to show up. Rondo's attorney, David Hill, told the Chicago Tribune that his client had been demanding a trial for months. When the case finally went to a jury in early 2016, the outcome wasn't in question for long. Both Rondo and Ely were convicted of first-degree murder in March 2016. They had been sitting in Cook County Jail for over 2 years by that point, a jail infamous for holding pretrial inmates for unrealistic periods. In May 2016, Judge Vincent Goggins sentenced Courtney Ely to 38 years in prison. In July 2016, the same judge sentenced Clint Massey to 39 years. Rondo was just 19 years old when he was sentenced. Under the terms of his sentence, he won't be eligible for release until he is well into his 50s, somewhere around the year 2053 at the earliest if he earns good time credit. He has maintained his innocence and filed appeals. None of them have succeeded. Javon Boyd's cousin Lakeisha Odom told reporters that he beat all the odds that life threw at him, and that he had a story to tell that nobody was ever going to get to hear now.
Crazy.
Clint Massey was chasing clout that night and clipped a guy in front of a bunch of girls to prove something to the streets. He has been in prison for the last decade, and although his tweets show him keeping his head up high, getting a degree, and working out, he and Cdai have both been trying aggressively to get released on any technicality they can. Because at the end of the day, as tough as you are in the streets, where you can tote clips and move freely, no one is tough enough to handle 40 years in a cage, being told what to do, what to eat, and how long to sleep every day into your 60s.
Modern day slavery, ain't it? Niggas chasing a lifestyle that don't get you nowhere, man. So this is a story of RondoNumba9 and Cdai. I didn't know that what this was about, but they said this is when clout chasing gets you 40 years in prison. And it did. Got a little history lesson there. You get some understanding. What it is, what it ain't. I'm MasoMoney. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. Y'all don't do those things, family. Just watch another video. I'll see y'all in the next one, all right?